Let me ask you something. What if leadership wasn't just a title you're given, but a status you actually have to earn? Today, we're diving deep into that very question. We're going to explore some absolutely timeless wisdom from one of the Quran's most important chapters, Surah Al-Baqarah, to uncover some powerful, practical lessons on what it really means to lead and how to build a legacy that matters. And I want to kick things off with this invitation, which comes right from our source material. Because this really isn't a lecture, right? Think of it as a shared journey. We're in this together, exploring these incredible ideas to see how they can actually make a difference in our own lives. And that brings us right back to the huge question that's going to frame our entire conversation today. What if real, true leadership isn't something you inherit or something that gets handed to you on a silver platter? What if it's something you have to actively prove you are worthy of? This idea, this powerful concept of earned leadership, is the absolute core of what we're going to unpack. So, to really get this idea, we need a guide. And our guide on this journey is none other than Ibrahim, who you might also know as Abraham. He's presented not just as a prophet, but as the ultimate model, the blueprint for what it means to be a tested, proven, and genuinely authentic leader. Okay, so this slide breaks it down perfectly. You've got two totally different paths to influence. On one side, there's inherited status. A crown gets passed down just because of a last name. But on the other side, you've got Ibrahim's model, leadership that is earned. His role as a leader, as an imam, wasn't a gift. It was literally forged in the fire of some incredibly severe tests from God. And this verse right here is the game changer. After passing his tests, Ibrahim asks God if his children will also be leaders. And God's response is so direct, so revolutionary. My covenant does not include the wrongdoers. Wow, that one line just shatters the whole idea of inherited goodness. It establishes a radical principle. Honor and leadership are not in your bloodline. They have to be earned by every single person, in every single generation. Okay, so this idea of leadership being earned, and even transferred, doesn't just stop with one person. It actually sets the stage for a massive, pivotal moment in history. The story now zooms out from one man, Ibrahim, to the destiny of an entire community, and it's symbolized by a literal, physical shift, a change in the global spiritual headquarters, if you will. First, a quick definition so we're all on the same page. The Qibla. It's simply the sacred direction that Muslims face when they perform their daily prayers. It's a single, unified point of focus for a worldwide community. Now, for a long time, the Qibla for the early Muslim community was Jerusalem. And you have to understand this was a big deal. It was a very conscious link to a shared sacred history, connecting them to the legacy of all the prophets who came before, like Moses and Jesus. But then, everything changed. A divine command came down. Change direction. The new Qibla was to be the Kaaba in Mecca, that simple, cube-shaped building that our model of earned leadership, Ibrahim himself, had built with his son Ismail thousands of years earlier. Now, this was so much more than just a change in geography. The source material calls this moment the change of office. I mean, just think about that phrase. It was a formal, symbolic handover of the mantle of global spiritual leadership, from the communities of the past to this new emerging one. And this is where you see the absolute brilliance behind this move. It was a profound test of faith, a test of loyalty. It forced everyone to ask themselves a really tough question. Are you following the message and the messenger, or are you just clinging to the traditions of your ancestors? This command was like a filter, revealing who was truly ready to carry the heavy responsibility of this new leadership role. So, okay, ancient history, leadership tests, changing prayer directions. What in the world does any of this have to do with us, right here, right now? How do we apply it? Well, let's distill these powerful stories into a practical toolkit for our own modern lives. The first lesson, and honestly, this might be the most crucial one, is this. True leadership is service, period. The source calls it an amana, a sacred burden of trust. This completely flips the script on how we usually think about power. Whether you're a parent, a boss, or a leader in your community, the main question isn't, how do these people serve me? It's, how can I best serve them? The source also gives this community a very special title, Ummatan Wasatan, which you'll often hear translated as a middle nation. But the Arabic word here, wasat, is so much richer than that. It doesn't just mean middle like average or mediocre. It also means the best, the most just, the most excellent and balanced. So the goal isn't to be in the middle of the road. It's to achieve excellence through balance by avoiding extremes on either side. And this chart gives us a simple visual idea of what that balance can look like in our day-to-day lives. It's all about giving the proper time and energy to all of our key responsibilities, our work, our families, our spiritual connection, and hey, our own well-being and rest. The source even considers neglecting any one of these to be a form of injustice or zulm to ourselves and to the people who count on us. Of course, this journey of trying to be a balanced leader, it's not easy. Life is going to test you. It's going to throw all kinds of challenges your way. And for when those tests inevitably arrive, the source gives us a direct two-part prescription for how to stay resilient. Seek help through patience and prayer. And here's an incredibly practical way to actually apply that. I love this. Think of it as a soul workout. So when a crisis hits, step 1, before you panic, just pause, connect with God through prayer. Then, step 2, consciously reframe the problem. This isn't just a random disaster. This is a custom-designed gym session for your soul, meant to build your spiritual muscle and make you strong. Let's just circle back to that Qibla change for a second, because there's this one verse that had such a personal, beautiful layer to it all. The change wasn't just a strategic test. It was an act of divine love. God says, "We have seen the turning of your face toward the heaven." He saw the prophet's silent wish, his longing, and he answered it. It just shows this incredibly intimate, caring bond between the Creator and those who try to serve him. Okay, so let's start to bring all these threads together now. We've talked about earned leadership, about service, about balance. Now let's focus on the two most important projects of your entire life: building your identity and building your legacy. And here's the bottom line. Just like Ibrahim's leadership, your identity is not something you just passively inherit. It is an active choice you make. Every single day, with your actions, with your ethics, with your principles, you are the architect of who you are. So the real question is, what kind of person are you going to choose to build? And that choice flows directly into the legacy you leave behind. And look, we're talking about something way bigger than just money here. We're talking about building a visionary legacy. That means thinking beyond your own lifetime. It means praying for your great-great-grandchildren, people you'll never even meet, just like Ibrahim did. It means investing in things like schools or community centers or endowments, institutions that will help people long after you're gone. And it means being proud of the distinct ethical identity you've chosen to build. And this all brings us to the ultimate takeaway. The source reminds us that the Kaaba wasn't built for one group of people. It was built as a place of gathering for all people. And just like that sacred house, the highest form of leadership embraces a universal vision. It's a leadership that serves all of humanity, that breaks down the narrow walls of nationalism and racism to uplift everyone. That is the timeless legacy worth building.